And good evening. Welcome to AITQR Mini Mic. This is session number 2 or 3. I can never remember, and that's a good thing. And tonight I am stepping right back. I'm going all the way back to 2011 because the initial set up as a musician to even reach a place where you're prepared to do a theatrical project can take many formations and lots of different bands. So tonight I have the great pleasure of having one of my former band members with me. His name is Michael Robinson. Michael, give us a wave. There he is. And Michael, let me tell you about Michael before I pin him and bring him to the fore. Michael is a product designer. He's a technologist. He's a social entrepreneur. And get this, he is a glitter bomber. His interest and work is at the intersection of business, innovation, and community service. He's also a spectacular live performer. I know because I've worked with him for a long time. So Michael, welcome to AITQR. This is our
Thanks.
mini mic. Super excited to have you.
What an introduction. Thank you. And what an honor to be here. Welcome back after all these years.
Right? So ladies and gentlemen, 2011 was the last time we actually performed together live. I tried for the next 9 years to haul him in, but he was just too busy making his mark in business, innovation, technology, industrial design. Anything else that I missed there, Michael?
You know, the occasional glitter bomb here and there.
That's true. Can you tell those that are a little ignorant, what is a glitter bomb?
Well, if anyone's ever seen a video of Tristet plus Bobby Ray, you'll know that glitter features very heavily into everything that we do. We're just glittered, we're gorgeous, and I happen to be the little glitter bomb that was. So
Gotcha.
When you glitter bomb, you kind of like just step in and you look fabulous and you just bring everything to it. That's a glitter bomb.
Okay, I can't believe I couldn't put that together, but that's because I was so busy trying to keep my wigs on straight while you were busy with the glitter. T plus BR was the name of our formation back then, and we traveled to Berlin. We performed in Soho, Chelsea. We performed down in the East Village. We performed at the Spectacular Tape Club, which is attached to a virtual museum at that time over in Berlin. It was really quite an adventure. It was very short-lived. These things happen in the music industry, as we all know. But it was exciting, and it stuck with us, didn't it, Michael? It really left an imprint. Right?
It did. T plus BR was really this moment that burned super bright. It burned brightly for me as the resident glitter bomber, one of them. But it was also really formative because I had the opportunity to work with my next door neighbor, the lovely Carrie Beehan.
He's so kind.
And we had an opportunity to really discover what pure creativity was all about. And I really saw that in everything that you brought to it, and just your ability to craft, mold this idea, but also change it and adapt it to make your art just shine. It was really amazing, and it was a great pleasure to be a part of that coming to life.
Well, it was our art, not my art. It was our art. There were 3 of us, and we all we put a lot into it in a very short space of time. There was a 4th member. His name was Clinton Quirchie, and he was our video designer. And for anybody that's seen Folk Tales of the Monarch or any of my other, actually, Folk Tales of the Monarch came after T plus BR. But we have a lot to thank Clinton for costumes, design, videos. And speaking of videos, because tonight's theme is really about how Michael has morphed the creative with his business life. We're very curious about this. I'm going to give you a taste of what Michael was doing on stage back there. And hopefully this kind of like jettisons him off into the interesting waters that we want to dive in with you and explore. So one moment, please. I'm going to share a screen. Off we go. Here we go. And there we go. Now.
Wow.
All I have to do is stop sharing the screen. Hang on a minute. And we're back. Michael.
What a journey. What a journey. Confusion. I love that you ended on that, because I think over the past, 4 or 5 months, this world, if anything, has embodied those lyrics. Wow, I'm actually going to go back and listen to that track, because that could explain a lot. That could help me process a lot right now.
Yeah, take that a little deeper for us. I'm curious.
Well, I really have to remember the lyrics there, but I think one of the things that we were discovering about confusion was just this mess. Sometimes we forget the fact that we're human beings, right? Like, and the thing that's really tough right now is we've been put into our homes because of a virus that's obviously operates way beyond our control. It's outside of our control, and that in and of itself, a virus, it's very hard for human beings to understand how viruses operate, or even pandemics operate from a sheer just a numbers and the way pandemics work, right? So first and foremost, our capacity to even think about that is difficult.
Yes, it leaves us somewhat stranded, wouldn't you say?
In so many ways. So I have an ambulance behind me. You can hear I'm outside.
You do.
I'm going to go on pause a little bit here.
Okay, all right. So while Michael's letting that Brooklyn ambulance pass by, that was a track that we put together down in a art gallery called Fusion Arts Museum. And I was lucky enough to be able to record the Chinese from some friends of mine that lived across the street who had not been in America very long at the time, and were gracious enough to sort of really work with me to try and understand where we were coming from with our English lyrics so that they could give me some Chinese translations. And then I convinced them to allow me to record them so that, you know, it would be correctly pronounced. And we invited them to the show to come and listen to themselves sort of amplified in this big room while we performed it. And I remember it was just such a surprise. It was the last thing they were expecting. But, you know, that in itself was a really beautiful coming together of community, right?
It was huge. It was huge. And, you know, it's to move from, okay, there's, you know, we're in our homes. It's confusing. We don't really know why or understand why or how this whole thing works. And then on top of it, what comes into stark relief is our moments where we're confronted with our humanity and not the best parts of it. And to the extent that it was impossible to look away. So, you know, for 8 minutes and 49 seconds, we really witnessed something that took us, for the people who have a soul or any ounce shred of empathy, took us to a very, very dark place, where we were witnessing really the worst of what we can be. And what I love about Confusion, I love about that video, is that it's actually like love is the antidote, right? Like we're literally saying like, wake up. Like, you know, we're in a state of confusion. It's almost like a default mode as human beings. We admit that we are in a state of confusion perpetually, but to break out of the default, you need love. That's actually something that breaks that normal paradigm, normative paradigm of confusion, of and helps break us out of the tragedy, really, like to really understand what love is, helps us be human in the good way, helps us be empathetic, helps us understand our cosmic connections with each other. And I think that I just remember editing that video and just throwing in that cosmic imagery of just like these nebula that are just vast and beautiful, but interconnected. They're these webs. And they're, you know, when you really think of nebulae, and they're really the birthplace of our
Right.
universe, the
Very much
birthplace
so.
of stars. So it just really hit home. That video really just drove it
Well,
back for me.
look at that. So I'm going to jump you over to Berlin, Germany, because you always wanted to go there. You ended up going there on tour. We went there together as a band. I'd already spent 11 years as a resident in Germany, so it was familiar tramping ground for me, even though I'd already been in America at this point for 12 years, 13 years. But it was a return back to something I knew. And I've just finished watching the series Babylon Berlin. And I'm just curious how it was for you just looking at that whole Berlin situation again. You know, because it was surreal when we were there. And for those that don't know, they were just plying us with shots of tequila afterwards, not beforehand, but they paid you with trays of tequila, which I can't drink, but
Yeah.
excessive.
I would say that the volume was turned on beyond max in Berlin. I mean, we're there. I mean, and this was, oh gosh, 2012?
It
Was
was
it?
2011, I believe.
2011.
Maybe
So
12.
you,
No, 11. Yeah, 11.
right. So you're already, I think, you know, peak gentrification in Berlin, you know, it's
Yeah.
peak. And what I loved about our experience was this coming together, this melding of your history, and when we met up, with one of my friends, kind of the new Berlin, right?
Right.
And just how that fusion kind of came together was really, really beautiful. So in a lot of ways, you know, after the tequila shots, when I was still awake, and I said, I'm off to the Berghain, and you're like, have fun, darling.
I know. I'd be like, I have seen it all before.
But really, I mean, I couldn't wish for a better experience, performing live, going on tour,
Right.
literally.
Yeah.
And it was a really amazing time. You know, you want to talk about business, you know, it was really a great opportunity in Berlin to showcase international talent. And really, what was surprising to me is how accessible it was. Do you know what I mean? And
Yes.
just how to how this community was really not quickly but curated pretty readily around this idea, and how many artists were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that accessibility was something that you don't normally see in the like super structured art world, right? It's all like, you know, it. So, anyways, I just say it to remind ourselves that there is power in community,
Yeah.
and when we rebuild these institutions that we cherish, to be able to rebuild it with access, and access to our own community, but also access for our surrounding communities, I think is really, really important. How do we build that back?
It's such a straight up question. How do we build that back? Yeah. And now, how do we do this? How do we do this now, Michael?
Well, I think you're again pioneering spirit, Facebook Live. I mean, to be able to share creativity, to be able to share your artwork online, but not only that, have discussions around it, I think is maybe one of the ways that we're going to build it back and make it even more multidimensional. Unfortunately, we're not able to experience this physically, but I mean, gosh, think about the opportunities and the potential of being able to, you're live and global
Mm.
at a moment,
Yeah.
right? And two, when you begin overlaying other tools on it, sensorial tools like AR or VR, right? To be able to see you in virtual reality, if you will, or
Yep.
stereoscopic, or being able to play with that. I think that's where we begin really discovering how rich our experiences can be.
Right.
Now, I won't give anything up for meeting people in person. I mean, that's just to be able to have that experience. But I think in the meantime, I think we can find our connections in humanity through
Let
this
me
medium.
let me just pause you right there because I have a crying dog that's heard your voice. Please continue, but she's heard your voice, so she
Hi,
won't stop crying.
Cleo.
Say hello to
This
your
is
uncle.
hi, Cleo. I had two upstairs neighbors, Carrie and Cleo. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the first step. There's definitely
Right.
more steps on this journey, but I think the more we can do it, and the more we can make it rich, the better. I think, you know, the thing that I do want to kind of counteract personally and professionally, because that's part of my professional life, is the Zoom burnout. You know, just this, wow, I'm sitting in front of this black mirror all day, you know what I mean, and
Mm-hmm.
having this communication. So that's why I came outside. That's actually
Thank
why I
you.
had to disassociate myself with my desk and really kind of just have a little bit of a nature bath. But you know, this being Brooklyn, you hear the dog, you hear
Oh,
the
please.
ambulance
I'm
and the
standing here
motorcycle.
holding a dog.
Yeah.
Well, that brings me to next Thursday night, which is July the 9th. We are having our Panda Mic, which is a platform where artists get to perform, talk, air their dirty laundry. It's an open platform. Everybody gets about 7 minutes. And I would really hope that we can work it out to get you back on next week to continue talking about how we move forward with obviously the combination of business and art. We have to merge them. There's, it's an economy and you have to make it work. But
and speaking of which, the Mr. Frosty man is coming right by me. So I've got to I think the way to keep it moving is to keep it moving.
You got to go get your ice cream and we'll see
I got to go get my ice cream. And you know what I'll do next week? Maybe I'll bring some glitter with me.
Please do. I want the performance in the park. You can even have a used ice cream cone. Please give us a performance.
Carrie, I think I might have to stage a live performance.
Yes.
Next Thursday, I have time to pull it together.
You do.
I think we pulled it together with less time.
We do. Oh, it's just so gorgeous to have you on. Thank you for coming to AITQR's mini mic. Enjoy your ice cream. Have one for me. I'm gluten-free, so good luck finding one right now. And see you next week.
See you next week. Love you, Carrie.
You.
Thank you.
Love you. Thank you.
It's an honor.
Bye-bye. So that was it for AITQR's mini mic for this week. Stay tuned. There's more coming. I have a very interesting story coming up over the next few weeks with a former cop from New York who then became a criminal legal representative for the state and also a copy editor and book author. And he's fascinating. And he's up in some years. He was working down on the beats here in the 1960s and 70s, hung out with Serpico. And he's coming on. Well, he's coming on the phone, and I got a bunch of photos. And we're going to do some stuff. So I do want you to tune in for that. His name's Robert Knightley. Anyhow, thanks for being here. This is AITQR Mini Mic. Tune in for Panda Mic, which is next Thursday, where we have a whole bunch of artists. And thanks for watching. Bye.